now it's a murder. It's somebody taking your husband's life for what appears to be no reason, you know?
She thought she had it all figured out. A sobbing wife, a tragic story, and a clueless detective. But the moment Lasherria Hastings started spinning her tale, the cracks in her story became impossible to ignore. Her husband, Randall, lay bleeding to death. And yet, her words did more to confuse than clarify. How do you think a wife, caught in her own web of lies, handles the moment her story starts to crumble under the weight of the truth?
I'll leave there.
We left there roughly about 1:15.
Okay. And where do y'all go after that?
After that, we took Greg back home, and then we went to, I think we went to 7-Eleven, I'm not sure, but we ended up going to Alexis' cousin's house.
Okay. Do you know where Desiree lives at? What's her address?
She's staying in Stone Hollow. I don't know the address. I just want to get there.
Do y'all stop at the 7-Eleven off of Parkway?
Yeah, the one by the car wash.
Yeah, okay. And y'all then go to Victoria's cousin's house? And what are y'all doing there?
He stayed outside for the most part, and I was in the house playing beer pong with everybody else.
Okay.
August 20th, 2017. A date that started like any other but spiraled into chaos. Lasherria Hastings and her husband, Randall, set out for what seemed like a regular night. A local bar, some drinks, and a night meant for winding down. But nothing about this story ends in relaxation. The couple spent the evening drinking, mingling, and likely nursing tensions that had been brewing under the surface for years. After leaving the bar around 1:15 a.m., they tried to find a hotel. Strange, isn't it? Why not just go home? But none were available, or so the story goes. Instead, they ended up at a friend's house.
Still outside. Like, I thought he was behind me, but he was still outside. I don't know. I guess he was looking for his phone. Because when I sat on the couch, like about 10 minutes later, that's when he comes in the house and he was like, "Babe, can you call my phone? Because I can't find my phone." And that's when I called him.
So you walk in the house, and he's like 10 minutes later?
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
And then he walks in the house, and he's like, "Can you call my phone?"
Because he couldn't find it.
What's going on inside the house when you walk in?
Nothing. Bang and Jermaine. Bang was messing with Jermaine's hair. Jermaine was on the laptop.
Okay.
Messing with music.
And so you start calling his phone?
I didn't call his phone until he came in and said call his phone.
Okay. And so he walks back outside.
Mm-hmm.
How long is he outside?
I let the phone ring until it went to voicemail. And when he didn't answer, then I went out there to go help him look for it. But then when I get like to the door, like where their door is, I heard yelling.
Randall stepped out to search for his lost phone, with Lasherria following close behind. Moments later, chaos erupted. Neighbors woke to screams and found Randall bleeding profusely, clutching his chest, while Lasherria sobbed hysterically. Despite paramedics' efforts, Randall succumbed to his injuries. At first glance, Lasherria's distress seemed genuine, but soon doubts arose. Was it grief or guilt? Lasherria Hastings, the grieving wife, or so she claimed. As the only witness to Randall's stabbing, she quickly became the prime suspect. The police weren't buying her sob story, and frankly, neither would you if you were there. Her timeline was more jumbled than a bad Hollywood reboot. She painted herself as cooperative, but let's be real. Every answer she gave only deepened the detective's suspicions.
Like I said, he was hitting his chest and he was talking noise, so I didn't think that he was hurt until he fell.
How do you think he got stabbed?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Lasherria take her attempt to pin the crime on some random third party. She claimed another man was outside arguing with Randall, but her descriptions were as vague as those diverse characters Hollywood keeps forcing into movies without a real story. When pressed for details, Lasherria started rambling about cars she barely noticed, and conversations she couldn't quite hear. And when the detectives asked her the most obvious question, "How do you think he got stabbed?" her response was laughably clueless. "I have no idea." Really, Lasherria? You were right there. Her tactics were clear. She thought she could outsmart the police with crocodile tears and a narrative that shifted like sand. But the more she talked, the more the story unraveled. Each contradictory statement was a red flag. Lasherria might have thought she was the smartest person in the room, but she underestimated the detectives and, honestly, basic logic.
Doing mine.
So it was okay for him to sleep with somebody else?
Yes, like after...
Who's are you talking to Demetrius?
No, that's just my
Who are
friend.
you talking to now, like, while married to Ray?
This is my first time cheating on him. It was one time thing with me. He's been cheating.
Who were you cheating on him?
I was messing with this guy named Ant.
Randall and Lasherria Hastings weren't exactly the poster couple for happily ever after. Their marriage was riddled with infidelity, bitterness, and the kind of toxicity that makes you wonder why they stayed together at all. Randall had been unfaithful, reportedly texting another man's wife, a bold move for someone trying to keep a marriage afloat. Lasherria, on the other hand, admitted to her own affair, describing it as a one-time thing, as if that made it any less scandalous. Open marriages, secret texts, it was less romance and more soap opera. Their relationship wasn't just unstable, it was a ticking time bomb. Jealousy has a way of eating away at people, and it's easy to imagine that Randall's wandering eye could have been the final straw for Lasherria. Did an argument over his infidelity spiral out of control? Or was it premeditated, a culmination of years of pent-up resentment? Randall's family painted him as a kind man, while Lasherria's defense hinted at domestic abuse and a history of aggression. But here's the kicker. Both sides had reasons to lie. Lasherria wanted to save her own skin, and Randall's family needed to defend his legacy.
Somebody taking your husband's life for what appears to be no reason, you know? On your Facebook, it seems like you don't have a great relationship with Ray.
Oh, we were good. We've been good. My mom would tell you we've been good.
Okay.
Detectives might not wear capes, but their work often feels like something out of a superhero movie, minus the Hollywood woke messaging, thankfully. In Lasherria Hastings' case, they played their cards perfectly, exposing her lies one contradiction at a time. Her story was a mess from the start. One moment she claimed Randall was arguing on the phone, and the next, she was talking about a mystery man outside. Which was it, Lasherria? Detectives weren't buying it. They zeroed in on the inconsistencies. If there was a third party, why couldn't she describe him beyond vague details? And let's not forget forensic evidence. Randall's injuries didn't match her narrative, and her proximity to the scene was undeniable. She tried to dance around the details, offering half-truths and convenient amnesia, but the detectives didn't flinch. Randall's phone records were another nail in her coffin. The man she claimed to love had been texting someone else, and she wasn't exactly forthcoming about it. Lasherria thought she could outsmart them with crocodile tears and a weak script, but this wasn't some low-budget Netflix series. Real detectives don't fall for amateur theatrics. Piece by piece, they dismantled her story, proving that while lies might cover tracks temporarily, the truth always finds a way to break through.
So I have to investigate the cause of death. So, but you and his family will have to make those arrangements, okay? What was he on probation for? Okay. Has he ever been arrested for anything else? Okay.
Lasherria's courtroom saga wasn't just about justice. It was a masterclass in legal loopholes. Initially charged with murder, she faced the grim reality of her situation when her attorney struck a plea deal for aggravated assault. Why? Because proving intent is a tricky game. The defense spun a narrative of Lasherria as a victim, claiming Randall's behavior, fueled by alcohol and alleged aggression, pushed her into self-defense. The jury might have bought it if it went to trial, so the prosecution played it safe. Randall's family wasn't having it, though. They argued he was a kind, loving man and painted Lasherria as manipulative and unfaithful. It's hard not to sympathize with their frustration. A 10-year sentence for taking a life feels like a slap on the wrist, especially when she could be out in 5. But the justice system is a murky place, and without clear evidence of premeditation, this was the best the prosecutors could get. The courtroom was less about facts and more about spin. The defense leaned on cultural narratives. Victims are never questioned these days, are they? The prosecution, meanwhile, struggled to pin down Lasherria's true intentions. In the end, the case left everyone dissatisfied. A perfect storm of legal compromise and moral ambiguity.
Just keep in mind that it is a sworn statement for a murder investigation, okay? It's against the law to lie to the police in a sworn statement. It's considered perjury, okay? Do you know what that means? Is there anything else that you would like to add before swearing to your statement or changing? Alright, so do you swear your statement everything's the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll conclude this interview.
So, was justice served? That's the million-dollar question. Lasherria Hastings got 10 years in prison, but with parole, she could be out in 5. Randall's family called it a travesty, and honestly, it's hard to disagree. The man lost his life, and the person responsible will be back out in the world sooner than most people finish paying off a car loan. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about a single crime. It was about a relationship built on lies, jealousy, and infidelity. Both Randall and Lasherria made choices that fueled their toxic dynamic. And in the end, it cost one of them their life. Domestic strife is a powder keg, and this case proves how quickly things can explode when emotions run high. Beyond the personal tragedy, this story shines a spotlight on a bigger issue. Violent crime in domestic situations is disturbingly common, and while we like to think justice is black and white, cases like this show how messy it really is. Lasherria's sentence might satisfy the letter of the law, but does it address the deeper problems? Not even close.
How old is Antoine?
I don't know, 30 minutes, 30.
Where does he stay in Lubbock?
Yes, he lives.
Huh?
He lives in Lubbock.
Do you know where at?
I don't know, like, this address or nothing. I just know how to get there.
Okay.
Lasherria's revelation.
Let's be real. This case isn't just about crime. It's about the messy, fascinating depths of human behavior. Lasherria Hastings didn't just try to manipulate the detectives. She tried to manipulate the narrative of her life. That's what keeps us hooked. Her tactics, from crocodile tears to convoluted lies, show how far people will go to protect themselves when the walls close in. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.